Most men have been told the same lie their entire lives. Just be nice, be yourself, and the right woman will come along. But what if that advice is missing the most important piece? I'm going to show you the 4 pillars of real attraction that actually make you magnetic to women. This isn't positive thinking or pickup artist tricks. This is the psychology of desire that nobody explains. By the end, you'll have a complete framework you can use immediately. And if you stay until the end, I'll reveal the one crisis every relationship must survive to become real. Welcome back to Deeper Dudes. But first, let's talk about why the advice you've been given is setting you up for failure. You ask a woman what she's looking for. She tells you someone kind, someone who makes her feel safe, someone generous. So you become the kindest, safest, most generous version of yourself. And nothing changes. You listen. You remember birthdays. You text back immediately. You do everything you've been told a good man should do. And yet the women you're interested in keep choosing someone else. Not because those other men are better people, but because attraction doesn't follow the same rules as morality. Research shows that 78% of men report feeling confused about what women actually want in dating. But here's what nobody explains. She wasn't lying when she told you what she wanted. She does want all of those things. She just wants them from a man she's already attracted to. What a load of crap that we're taught kindness alone is enough. Nobody teaches us how attraction actually works. I know because I lived it. I spent years being the perfect gentleman, opening doors, planning thoughtful dates, being emotionally available. And I watched women tell me I was such a great guy, right before they went home with someone who treated them like an option. It made me realize the brutal truth. Kindness is the seasoning. It's not the meal. And if you've been trying to win someone over with seasoning alone, you're playing a game you can't win. But attraction isn't a reward system. You don't earn it by accumulating enough kindness points. Attraction is a response, an involuntary reaction to certain signals. And most of those signals have nothing to do with how nice you are. The good news is, those signals are learnable. They're not reserved for the genetically gifted or the wealthy. Every man watching this can become more attractive than he currently is. And it starts with understanding the 4 pillars. Pillar 1 is presentation. This is the most obvious and the most neglected. I'm talking about how you dress, your grooming, your physical fitness, and yes, for some guys, basic hygiene. This isn't about becoming a model. It's about showing that you care enough about yourself to put effort into your appearance. A well-fitting shirt, clean shoes, a haircut that suits your face, these are low-cost, high-impact changes that immediately shift how people perceive you. Think about it this way. When you see someone who's put together, what do you assume about them? That they have their life together, that they respect themselves, that they're worth getting to know. You're making that exact same calculation before you even realize it. When I finally invested in clothes that actually fit and started going to the gym consistently, the difference wasn't just physical. Women started responding to my messages. Conversations lasted longer. First dates turned into second dates. Nothing else had changed except how I showed up. This is where transformation begins. And once you have presentation handled, communication becomes the real game changer. Pillar 2, communication. This is where most men completely fall apart, and it's the most powerful tool you have. Here's what most guys don't understand. Masculine communication and feminine communication operate on completely different wavelengths. Masculine communication is transactional. I say something, you receive the information, message complete. But feminine communication is about emotional resonance. Think of 2 tuning forks. One vibrates, and when you bring the other close enough, it starts vibrating at the same frequency. That's what connection feels like to most women. It's not about what you say. It's about the emotional frequency you're transmitting. This is why so many relationships hit walls. She's trying to get him to feel what she's feeling. and he's stuck analyzing the literal words she's using. Both people are communicating. Neither one is connecting. The men who learn to operate on both frequencies, logical and emotional, become extraordinarily charismatic. Not because they're performing, because they're actually present. Here's how to develop this skill. First, practice reflective listening. When she tells you about her day, don't immediately try to solve the problem. Reflect the emotion back. If she's frustrated, say, "I can hear how frustrating that must have been." You're not agreeing or disagreeing, you're creating resonance. Second, share your own emotions, not just your thoughts. Instead of, "I think that was unfair," try, "That really hurt me." It's vulnerable, and vulnerability creates intimacy. Third, pay attention to body language and tone, not just words. She might say, "I'm fine," but if her arms are crossed and her voice is flat, she's not fine. Respond to what you're actually perceiving, not just what's being said. When I started using this approach, conversations went from surface-level small talk to real connection in minutes. Women would tell me they felt seen for the first time. That's the power of communicating on her frequency while staying grounded in yours. And this leads directly into the next pillar that most men completely overlook. Before we go any further, I want to pause for something important. None of what we've been talking about matters if we don't have the energy and clarity to actually implement it. We all know what it feels like to wake up exhausted. No energy, poor focus, and zero motivation. We also know what it feels like when we get good, restful sleep, targeted therapy, and the right supplements. I've personally tested more things than you can imagine. I'm like your personal guinea pig. Everything I have listed in the description below is science-backed and extensively tested. And if you grab anything through my links, you'll be supporting this channel at zero cost to you. Thanks for taking a look. Now, let's get back to it. If this is helping, please hit that like button so more men can find this when they need it most. And drop a comment. What's the biggest mistake you've made in dating? No judgment, just support. Pillar 3 is status, and it's wildly misunderstood. Most guys immediately think money, but money is just one proxy for status, and it's not even the most effective one. The thing that actually works, at any scale, is recognition. Being known for something. It can be local, it can be niche. If you're the guy on stage at the open mic night, or the coach everyone respects at the gym, or the person who runs the best events in your social circle, you become what researchers call the contextual alpha. You're at the top of a status hierarchy, even if that hierarchy is small, and that visibility is magnetic. Here's the truth about status that changes everything. You don't need to be a billionaire, you don't need to be famous, you need to be known and respected within a context. That's accessible to literally every man alive. This means if you have any skill, any passion, any area where you can demonstrate competence publicly, you have a path to status. Start a podcast about something you know, teach a workshop, host a meetup, lead a community project. The specific domain doesn't matter nearly as much as the fact that you're visible and valued within it. When I started speaking at local entrepreneurship events, my dating life changed overnight. Not because I was suddenly rich, because I was somebody. Women who wouldn't have looked twice at me in a bar were approaching me after talks, asking questions, wanting to continue the conversation. The content of what I was saying mattered less than the fact that I was the one saying it from a position of authority. This is the fame shortcut, and it works at every level. But here's where most men sabotage everything they've built. They don't understand the power of mystery. Pillar 4, mystery. Most men blow their chances by trying to prove their value too early. They talk too much on the first date. They over-explain their accomplishments. They hand over every piece of themselves before the other person has had a chance to wonder. Here's the truth that will change your dating life. In the early stages, attraction runs on projected fantasy. She doesn't know you yet. She's filling in the blanks with what she hopes you might be. And every time you talk too much, you replace her best-case fantasy with your real, imperfect, ordinary reality. The skill isn't lying. It's knowing when to let silence do the work. Here's the system. First, answer questions with just enough detail to be interesting, then redirect. If she asks what you do, give a one-sentence answer and ask about her passions. Second, leave conversational threads open. Mention a story but don't finish it. Reference a trip you took without explaining every detail. Create curiosity gaps that make her want to know more. Third, be comfortable with silence. Most men panic when a conversation lulls and fill it with nervous chatter. The confident man lets the silence sit. It creates tension, and tension creates attraction. When I stopped trying to impress women with every credential I had and started being selectively mysterious, first dates became electric. They'd text me afterwards saying they couldn't stop thinking about our conversation, not because I'd said anything profound, because I'd said just enough to make them curious. When you combine all four pillars, presentation gives you the initial spark, communication creates real connection, status makes you magnetically visible, and mystery keeps desire alive. This is how men attract the women they actually want, not by being nice, by being intentional, strategic, and emotionally intelligent. But even if you master all four pillars, there's still one trial that every relationship has to pass through. And most couples fail it without even understanding what's happening. I call it the crisis of disappointment. Remember, attraction begins with fantasy. You see someone, and your brain fills in everything you don't know with everything you hope is true. That fantasy is what gives you the courage to take the risk, to ask for the number, to go on the date, to invest your time and energy in another human being. But fantasy has a shelf life. At some point, through one significant revelation or the slow accumulation of small inconsistencies, the illusion cracks. The person hasn't changed. They're exactly who they were yesterday. But suddenly you're seeing them without the filter. The things that seemed charming now seem annoying. The quirks that felt adorable now feel exhausting. Most couples treat this moment as the beginning of the end. They think they made a mistake. They start looking for someone new who can recreate that initial fantasy. But it's actually the beginning of the beginning, because it's the first time you're seeing each other clearly. And the real question isn't whether you're disappointed. It's whether you can build something real with the actual person standing in front of you, not the fantasy you invented. The relationships that survive this crisis are the ones that matter. Everything before it was audition. This is where the real partnership starts. Here's how to navigate it. First, expect it. Knowing the crisis is coming removes the shock when it arrives. You're not broken. The relationship isn't doomed. You're just entering a new phase. Second, communicate through it. Tell your partner what you're feeling without blaming them for not being your fantasy. Own your projections. Third, decide consciously. Ask yourself, knowing everything I know now, is this person someone I want to build with? If yes, commit to the real person. If no, let them go with honesty and respect. When I went through this with my partner, it was terrifying. The woman I thought I was dating turned out to be different in small but significant ways. But when I chose to love the real her instead of mourning the fantasy, our relationship became deeper than I thought possible. This is where attraction transforms into love. Not just surviving setbacks, but becoming stronger because you chose reality over illusion. Drop a comment. Which of the four pillars do you need to work on most? Number 1, presentation. Number 2, communication. Number 3, status. Or number 4, mystery. And here's the hard question. Are you still chasing a fantasy, or are you ready to build something real? Well, that's it. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you found it helpful, please be sure to give it a like and maybe even subscribe to Deeper Dudes and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. It all helps the channel more than you know, and it also tells us that we should make more content like this. We post videos every other day that tackle real challenges men face. Remember, struggling doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. The fact that you took time to watch this means you're ready for something better. Thanks again for watching and for checking out all the amazing products in the description below. They could jumpstart your healing journey. Catch you in the next one. deeper dudes. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, keep thriving.